Okay, so we're joined by Johnny Brennan of the Jerky Boys fame, and after nearly 20 years, there's a new album out, which I don't know if a lot of people saw that coming. Well, first of all, why was there such a gap between the last, actual full album and this one?
The best way to describe it is this is a traditional, like the fans, all the millions of fans all over the world, they know the Jerky Boys, you know, for the structure and the way, it was done. And this record is exactly the way I used to do, the actual records. And the reason I say that is because it's a brand new record. Every track is new. There's not one thing on this record that I had and just said, let me throw it on the record. These are all brand spanking new. As a matter of fact, most of them, I'd say 80–90% of them were just done within the last 2.5 months.
Oh, wow.
So I announced it. On my birthday at Kingsland, a nightclub in Brooklyn, where I was doing live shows. I did a live show, and I announced it to the audience that I was on my birthday, that I was gonna be putting out a new album. Didn't exactly say when. I don't think I did, but that was going right into 2018. So you got 18, 19, and here we are in 20. So people were getting a little miffed, and obviously the record company was getting a little miffed, and I don't blame them. But in the last year or so like that, it's pretty hard to be funny. You know what I mean? And it's to be funny and to feel funny. It's like anything else. If you're a writer, or you're writing a piece of music, or you really have to. You got to be in a certain mindset. And you can't just act like a jackass just to act like a jackass, or do, because these characters I do, they're very serious. And when I do them, I'm in that crazy world of these Jerky Boys characters, the whole franchise. So to make a long story short, it just had to feel right. And then I had to start forcing it. I didn't have a choice because too much time was going by. Too many people were really clamoring for, excuse me, for a new record. And I said, I got to buckle down. And I did. Which I have to tell you, is very hard to do. I'm sure, if you have to create something, this is the best way to put it. Just don't mind that. Somebody's texting me. The best way to put it, if it doesn't exist, which it doesn't exist, and you have to create it, that means you have to bring something into this world. So that's not here. So I'm like, holy shit, man, I'm under the gun. But you know what? You push yourself out of your comfort zone. And I would get in my car, and I had a buddy of mine, Paul. He made me a device. It's actually a note. He took a note, an old note, and he made it into a recording device that any call going in or any call coming out or going in it will be recorded automatically, both sides of the conversation. So that was a very nice thing to have. So I got in the car and I drove to the Cornwall police station in Cornwall, New York, which is only about literally 3 minutes down the road. And the reason I did that is because right behind the police station, they have a giant cell tower. So this way, everything would be crystal clear and I wouldn't drop anything. Nothing got dropped. And little by little, I would do maybe, let's say, 3, 4, 5 a day. And I didn't know what I had. And some of them I thought, oh, that sounds pretty good. And, some of them I didn't even pay any attention to. And when I listened to them back later, I was like, wow, some of these are really, really good. And then started really getting excited because I said, I'm real. And the beautiful thing now is I have enough in the can to at least roll into another album. Maybe not a whole record, maybe not 25 skits or maybe not 20 skits, but I have enough to get rolling that are so awesome. Like I just didn't get a chance for whatever reason to use them on this record because this record went over an hour, so it's about an hour and 10 minutes. But I hope that answers your question. It just And don't forget too, I've been busy. This is my 19th season on Family Guy.
Right.
So I wasn't not doing anything, and I do commercials with my Jerky Boys characters, and I do other things with the Jerky Boys characters, but I just didn't do a record until now.
Right.
And I'm really, really glad I did. And funny story I've been telling people. I was seriously thinking, this is just a couple of weeks ago, a few weeks ago. I was seriously thinking of I was like, I'm not going to bring this thing out in 2020. Like, what the hell would I said, why would I do that? And then I thought to myself, I was like, fuck, man, now's the time to bring it out. 2020, let's get this fucker out now. And sure enough, man, it's just, the response I've been getting is tremendous. And so that is always the nicest feeling in the world. When you don't know, you have no idea, and the response is incredible.
Yeah.
So,
and also, like, I didn't know this was coming. And I started listening to Jerky Boys stuff in high school, and we'd be passing tapes around, and imitating the stuff in school and driving my parents crazy. And,
yeah.
I got the email, just the press release, like Jerky Boys, like what? I wasn't looking forward to it or not looking forward to it. It was just like, holy crap. Now, one thing, I'm sure other people have asked about this, but a lot has changed since the late 90s to now in so many different ways. You mentioned some of the technology stuff, but now we have, what they call cancel culture. And in the 90s, political correctness was like just kind of starting, maybe. I don't know. But
it was there. It was there. I had to deal with it.
Comedy's a different animal now, and there's people getting canceled, and whether you want to mention Louis C.K. and some of these artists that have to go away for a while or forever. Have you had any with these characters? They're some of them, like they're a certain type of humor, ethnic humor, some of them, and it's not for everybody. Have you had any? Is it different now? Like, is doing these characters different now because the world is a little different?
Well, you know what? I always say like this. I'm not going to change, who I am. I've been doing this a long time, and people they've always loved my characters. And to be honest with you, I've dealt with this on a crazy scale all the way back in the early 90s. Where Tipper Gore, Al Gore's wife, was on a mission to take everybody off the airways that was offensive. So I was lumped in by Tipper Gore with all these rap artists and hardcore labels that were, they were talking some serious shit. They were saying things that you really, raping women and doing this, and you're talking about stuff that was bad. And the Jerky Boys, you had Frank Rizzo saying, I'll wrap your fucking head in with a ratchet. And people understood. They got it. You couldn't sell my fans that bullshit, because my fans knew right away it was bullshit. And by slapping a warning on my CDs, you just sold probably an extra 2 or 3 million CDs. I sold millions and millions and millions of records. My records are all multi-platinum, because my fan base knows that, and they know me as a person. They know never in my time since I became famous and these characters have I ever set out to hurt somebody or to attack somebody racially. I don't do that. My fan base, the reason my fan base is so gigantic is because my fans know that has nothing to do with me. I don't do that. I just create these wacky characters, and they're in these insane, what's the best word I can think of is chaotic. Right. They're, Sal Rosenberg, he breaks the thermometer off in his ass. You can look at any of my skits, and it's all self-deprecating. It's all the character in on himself. And Frank Rizzo getting run over by a truck, and he's up in a hospital bed, and he won't be able to get near a bottle of hooch. So it's a real good example. I'll give you a quick story. USA Today, it had to be 92, 93 when I first hit the scene. USA Today took out the center. When you buy that paper on the street corners in every town across the country, you buy that paper, you open it up, and there's the big centerfold. USA Today took out the whole center. The Jerky Boys are offensive to Jews, to Muslims, to this, to that, to that. And they went down the whole list. Sold me millions of records because my fans are like, you don't know how many fans came up to me and said, Johnny, you see that shit, that bullshit in USA Today? And I was like, I don't pay attention to that crap because I know you guys know better. And the fans, they know better. And they know that that's not the truth. And here's my new album. My brand new record is, and I think it's funny how you see these characters roll right into 2000 and going on to 2020 and into 21. And then I'm so happy to announce that my original artist, Sean Taggart, did the cover. And you know, that in and of itself, there's fans that can't wait to see Sean, his next project. You know, he's a famous comic book artist, and I was lucky to get him back in the early 80s. So he's been with me all this time. And it's just a testament to everything coming together, just coming together at just the right time. And just and the characters, look at how nicely they roll with the like today's technology, you know,
Right.
And the stuff that might be going on in the world today.
Right.
But yeah, but I understand what you're saying, but there are also comedians, let's say. See, I'm not a comedian, so I don't really that's not I don't do that world. That's something completely different. So what you write and what you say as a comedian is intended. You know, that's something that you sat down, you wrote, you practiced. You know, do I believe that, you know, if you have a talented, yeah, there's a big difference between saying funny things and being an evil, mean-spirited fuck where that shit isn't funny, because now you're just personally attacking just to attack, to embarrass, or to have an evil spirit or mean-spiritedness. And if you have somebody that's funny and you can clearly see they're not trying to hurt someone, but they, you know, but again, too, now go to the other side. You go to the side of the person who wakes up in the morning and the first thing they fucking do is they're going to look for something that offends them. They're going to fucking want to be offended. And as soon as I'm offended, that's it. You're in big trouble. You can't live like that. Who the fuck lives like that? So, and I don't pay attention to that. So, you know, I don't, and you can clearly hear it in my work. I don't know if you've heard the new album.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the new album is getting rave reviews. It's #1. It's #1 on iTunes. And I think there's a reason for that, because people just love my sense of humor and they love my characters. And I've never seen anything last this many decades. You know, the Three Stooges, they've been around for what, 7 decades, 6 decades, maybe more than that, since the late 20s. But I think it's a pretty amazing feat that the Jerky Boys is still greeted and loved, and parents still turning their children onto it. And, you know, but you know, that's my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, the characters. There's a couple of the characters you keep coming back to here, and the fans, they're fan favorites too. And you already mentioned Saul, and you know, I almost picture Saul as I have this picture in my head of what he looks like. There's actually a guy that used to sit in front of me at Yankee games, and he wore a members only jacket, khaki pants, and he had a radio to listen to the game that was wrapped in saran wrap because of the rain. And then he had an old cassette player next to the radio to record the Yankee game. And I used to always say, it's Saul, that's Saul Rosenberg. And I used to, you know, where's Saul today? He's not sitting in front of me. It's like, I stick with you. Like,
yes, it does stick with you. And people, I'll never forget that one time I believe I was in Boston. I think it was Boston. And there was, you know, back in the day, we would do record signings. And you'd have 5,000 people waiting to get in for autographs and stuff like that. And the cameraman would go around to the people in the line and just ask them questions. And one time they got this girl, she was probably about 16 or 17. She was adorable. And they said, who's your favorite character? And she goes, Frank Rizzo. I love Frank Rizzo. And they go, why do you like Frank Rizzo? And she said, because he reminds me of my dad. And so, yes, you're 100% right. And I could just, the way you were just telling me, the khaki pants and the members only jacket and the plastic around the radio, I could see that shit. You see how visual it is?
Right.
I could see it, and I could see the tape recorder, and that's the kind of stuff that people relate instantly to my characters. And I, you know, that's why I'm really, really glad that I do have, you know, because that was part of the problem for 23, 24 years. Part of the problem was I had nothing. And I think maybe in the back of my mind, I was afraid. I think maybe in the back of my mind, there might have been a little fear there where I'm like, geez, I don't, it's been so long, and just kept putting it off. And so that's why I'm glad I have enough to roll into a new record, because I used to put them out like a year and a half apart.
Right. I mean, when you listen to it too, I was thinking, well, how 2020 is this going to be? But once I started listening to it, most of those situations are the same situations someone would call a doctor or a dentist or a piano guy. It's really no different than you would. And I like the little updates, like when Saul is asked his email address, and you know, he's Saul at Saul. Damn, you know, like, just picturing Saul trying to get an email address together.
Right.
You know, it makes me think of my mom trying to use her, you know, her remote control or something.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that you say that, because Saul Rosenberg is, whenever I do character Saul Rosenberg, or I do Mort Goldman on Family Guy, I'm actually doing my mom's persona, my mom's personality. Everything about those two characters is my mom. So when I close my eyes, when I start rolling these skits, I'm literally envisioning, I don't even know how to describe it, but my responses to the other person on the phone, everything that I say and do is exactly what would come out of my mom's mouth. So growing up with her all my life, she was a character like you can't even believe. So it just naturally flows. And it does that for all my characters, because they're all based on family members and friends of family. And big old badass Bob the cattle rustler is based on a farmer that not far from here, where I grew up in Salisbury Mills, New York. So it's just extraordinary to have been able to take these people and turn them into cartoons, per se, like into a cartoon. And when I speak, I don't have to go far to know exactly where I'm gonna go. Like it's even Frank Rizzo, I know exactly where I'm going with that character, because all I have to do is see my father like about 15 seconds before I got an ass whooping. You know, so you know that I was raised, you know, in a strict household, and you know, but you know, but it's always pretty cool to go there and get into these characters and just have a blast.
Yeah, I know when I first heard Mort on Family Guy, I said, boy, Jerky Boys should sue these guys, because that's the Saul Rosenberg ripoff. And it took me a while, and I was happy to realize it wasn't a ripoff. It was you doing that.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Seth MacFarlane actually wanted me to be part of Family Guy before it was even a show. He actually sent me the script, and I actually read for the main character, Peter. But the producers, I guess, when they got a hold of the wind of what Seth was trying to do, they were like, Seth, this is Jerky Boys. This is Frank Rizzo. This is, you know, I'll wrap your fucking head in with a ratchet. I don't know if we want this. You know, this is Fox Television. And you got to go back to that time. You're talking, I believe it was 96 or 97 when they sent me this package. So you just have to go back to that time and maybe understand what the producers were thinking and what Seth was thinking. Seth was 11 years old growing up on my stuff. So Seth was listening to my stuff when he was just a boy, a baby. So Seth was adamant. He wanted me to be part of that show. So I guess a year or so later, Seth flew to New York, and they wanted Saul Rosenberg from my character. And I said, well, there's no way I can give Saul Rosenberg away. He's my character. He's a Jerky Boys character, and he's been for many, many years. So I said, let's just work. I said, we'll work, and I said, I can do the other personality of my mom when she was a, you know, off the handle, nasty son of a bitch. And that would be Mort Goldman. And that's when you hear Mort Goldman is when my mom would get a little more amped up. And Saul Rosenberg is when my mom's more laid back. So, and then that was how I created Mort Goldman. And the rest is history. And this is my 19th season. So that's pretty, there you go again. Longevity. That's, that's pretty, it's something.
I know over the past few years you've been doing, some live events and things like that. And I know the COVID lockdown has definitely changed that. But I know you did a live stream, album release. So what have you been, you released the album, but what else are you doing to kind of promote the whole Jerky Boys thing right now?
The last thing I did was Friday. I did at Gotham Comedy Club in New York. I did a live streaming event, and I was on stage for, I'd say, over 2 hours, because I also did a session with studio audience where I could actually see all of them and answer questions and talk to them. That was the last thing I did. That was Friday, and you're right. The whole I was doing live shows, which I'd never done in my life. I'd never done live shows before, and it's a hysterical night. People have a blast. They're having a few beers, a couple of glasses of wine. It's usually about 200 or 300 people, and what's a breath of fresh air about it is it's not. They know me. They know I don't stand up on a stage and tell jokes. I'm not a comedian. I don't do that. But they do know that when they come out, we're all going to talk. We're all going to, because everyone that's a fan of mine that is going to pay to come to a show, they're a fan of mine because they've been there through the years, or maybe they're even brand new. But usually they have tons of questions. And then what happens is we'll go back and forth. A lot of times people will tell me, hey, Johnny, I got to tell you a funny story. And they'll tell the story, and the whole fucking place is hysterical. And then I'll tell a story that's similar or something that in my life that got me to that point. And I'll tell you what, man, the people, they just love it. And afterwards, they ask the people, what did you think? How did you like the show? Oh, and oh my God, it was one of the best nights of my life. I can't wait. I can't wait to see. And then fucking COVID comes.
Yeah.
Talk about, so once COVID is, can't wait till it get, out of here, or a vaccine or whatever the fuck. But, get the fuck out of here. And then we get back to doing the shows, and you should come to one. It's a lot of fun, and it's very informative, because especially if you're a Jerky Boys fan, there's so much stuff that you learn, so much stuff that I even learned. So, I can't wait to get back to doing that, because, being a shy person by nature, it ain't easy, but you got to shove yourself out of your comfort zone. And I always harken back to doing the Conan O'Brien show when he was at the top of his game. And, Conan's still pretty amazing. He's still doing his thing. Doing David Letterman's show, you guess what? If you're shy, you better fucking get the hell get out of your own way, because there ain't no room to be shy. So, right. But to do these shows, it's very cool, very, very cool, because of the fact that this, now you're the fans that they've loved you for all these years now they're in the same room with you. And that's I can liken that to, things like, standing next to, like an Eddie Van Halen, or, a great guitar. I play guitar, I play drums, or, if I ever had a chance to stand next to or shake hands with John Bonham, from Led Zeppelin, that just being in a room with somebody that you've loved so much, that's giving you laughter, and, I guess a better analogy would have been, like Carlin or Richard Pryor, or, being able to, these are all giants, or you know what I'm saying. But it's just a really cool feeling when you can shake or hug that person that you really, that you really loved over the years.
But the more I was thinking about Borat a little bit, where it amazed me that he was able to make a second movie, because I figured everyone would know that character. Now for you, it's probably a little different, because they don't see you, you're calling them. But has it ever happened where someone's like, wait a minute, this is Saul Rosenberg, I know what this is, or they recognize, that's Jack Torrance or something?
Yeah, I keep saying this because I don't remember. How crazy is that? I think I put one of those on this brand new record. where a guy recognized, I'm doing the character. Frank
Oh, the
Rizzo.
guy, he's like an IT guy and he kind of starts screwing with you? Is that the guy? There's one
No.
guy that kind of starts giving it back a little bit.
Yeah, I'm talking, it was a Frank Rizzo thing, and the guy gets on and he's got like a strong voice, and he's like, oh, Frank Rizzo. And I just ignore him. I'm like, what's that? And he's like, Frank Rizzo, you sound just like Frank Rizzo. You Frank Rizzo? And I said, what's that? And he goes, that's the Jerky Boys. I said, oh, the Jerky Boys. Oh, I said, man, that's some funny shit. And then I just kept talking like I didn't even, that was the end of the conversation. But anyway, I'm not sure. I could have sworn I put, because it's very, very short and to the point, but I might not have. I might have saved it for the next one. But yeah, it happens a lot, but most people don't think it's me. Most people, they think it's a cousin or a brother or somebody pranking them as Johnny Brennan, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Anything else you want to mention about the new record or anything else you're working on?
No, I think I'm good, but I think to mention a new record and Sean Taggart and, you know, my artist and the fact that as soon as it dropped, it hit #1. I think that's plenty of great stuff to work with. And I guess if you wouldn't mind, I do these cameos now. I do the guys at Cameo, they asked me, they said, Johnny, this would be perfect for you. So I do these cameos, and people, they love them. They go nuts. They can pick any character that I do that they like. And I got a bunch I got to do today, like Christmas and birthdays and you name it. And I do it, even if it's just a roast. So, so that's pretty cool. And it's just cameo.com/Johnny Brennan. So it's really easy.
Good. Well, I mean, just as a fan, I mean, to me, this was a nice surprise. And I think you were 100% right when you said this is the right time to put it out, because, I mean, any kind of, there's not a lot to laugh at right now. And this album, there's a lot to laugh at. So I think it's perfect for now.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And I really am very appreciative of the fact that people are loving all the different, and so that makes me happy to know that it's you know, because when you first put it out, you're like, man, because you're always nervous. You're like, oh man, I think it's going to be really special, but you never know until the feedback starts coming in. And everyone said the same thing you just said, that 2020, you couldn't have picked a better time right now. And I appreciate you saying that.
Good. All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, and it was great talking to you. And
thank you very much.
Have a good holiday. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. You too. Have a great holiday season. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Have a good one.